Very good morning, respected seniors and dear colleagues. My today's presentation is on clinical approach to the patient with vertigo. Vertigo is a very complex subject due to intermingling of various systems like peripheral vestibular system, central nervous system, cardiovascular system, psychic system, right? So our job in the approach to the patient is to reach the proper diagnosis of which system is involved and which clinical syndrome is involved causing vertigo, so that we can treat it accordingly and achieve the cure for the same. The current scenario is just to suppress the symptom of vertigo with antidepressant, anti-vertigo medications and delaying the cure for the same, which is not rational. So in this presentation we'll see which system is involved and how to reach the diagnosis and achieve the cure for the same. Vertigo is a sensation of motion when no motion is occurring in relation to the Earth's gravity. The current scenario is that 80% of vertigo is treated as symptom, only 20% vertigo are treated as disease. So our goal is that 100% vertigo cases should be treated as disease. One common misconception is that aging can cause vertigo, but actually aging per se cannot cause a rotational vertigo. It has heavy impact on the quality of life due to leave from work, frequent consultations and secondary psychiatric issues. It is anatomy of labyrinth, having 3 semicircular canals and 2 otolith organ, utricle and saccule. Semicircular canal detects the angular acceleration and utricle and saccule detect the linear acceleration. We'll not go in detail. These 3 are important reflexes to maintain the balance. One is vestibulo-ocular reflex, which control the eye movements, vestibulospinal reflex, which control the back, vestibulocholic reflex, which control the neck muscles. History is very much important in diagnosis of any vertigo syndrome. 80% cases can be diagnosed in history and clinical examination only. This is our detailed protocol for history and clinical examination. We need to understand the types of dizziness. There are mainly 4 types of dizziness considering the involvement of the various systems. Type 1 dizziness is true vertigo, that is spinning sensation, can be caused only due to vestibular system with its peripheral or central connections. Type 2 dizziness is a faintness due to low blood supply to the brain and the system involved is cardiovascular system. Type 3 dizziness is imbalance, sensation of falling down, caused mainly by the central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Peripheral neuropathy, Parkinsonism, myelopathies and cerebral disorder are some examples. Type 4 dizziness is psychogenic due to stress, depression or sense of insecurity. Patient feel lightheadedness, heavy head, tingling numbness in the head. Second most important thing is a duration of the vertigo. Various vertigo syndromes have fixed duration of dizziness. BPPV, perilymphatic fistula, vestibular paroxysmia, they last only for a few seconds to a minute, not more than that. Meniere's disease, migraine, acoustic neuroma, the dizziness lasts for minutes to few hours. In vestibular neuronitis, stroke and multiple sclerosis, it lasts for 1 to 7 days, not more than 7 days. Any vertigo lasting continuously for more than 7 days, it's nothing but psychogenic vertigo. We also need to consider the associated features. There are decreased hearing, tinnitus in Meniere's disease, headache in vestibular migraine, dysphagia, dysphonia in the stroke, nausea, vomiting are more prominent in peripheral vertigo rather than central vertigo. In BPPV, positional change will aggravate the symptoms. Recent viral infection in vestibular neuronitis, hunger, sleep deprivation, traveling, food may be the aggravating features in vestibular migraine. Family and treatment history is also important. These are the clinical examination. When the patient comes in a emergency department with acute vertigo syndrome, the first duty of the physician or surgeon is to differentiate it whether it is a central nervous system or stroke or it is a peripheral vestibular system is involved, that is vestibular neuronitis. 3 clinical tests are of utmost importance to rule out a central lesion from the peripheral lesion. The acronym is HINTS, H-I-N-T-S. HI stands for head impulse test, N stands for gaze evoked nystagmus, and TS is test of skew. In case of stroke or central nervous system is involved, then head impulse test is normal, gaze evoked nystagmus is present and that is directional changing. Test of skew or cross cover test is positive. The value of these three tests is more than the value of MRI brain in first hour of the stroke. So the sensitivity is more than MRI brain in first hour of the stroke. Here is how to perform test of skew. We have to cover and uncover the eye. When we cover one eye and suddenly uncover it and cover other eye, the covered eye will be moving upward or downward due to unequal vestibular nerve firing, and that is suggestive of central lesion. When the diagnosis is not clear after clinical examination and the various other clinical tests, we have to move to investigations. Most commonly done investigations are vestibular function test, MRI, and certain blood tests. In vestibular function testing, video nystagmography and video head impulse test are very commonly done tests and more important. Audiogram is required in case of acoustic neuroma and Meniere's disease cases. VAMP and electrocochleography are important for the diagnosis of Meniere's disease. Electronystagmography and video nystagmography has two most important components. They are oculomotor test and positional test. Oculomotor tests are required to differentiate peripheral and central lesions, and positional test for diagnosis of BPPV and which canal is involved, either posterior canal, horizontal canal, or anterior canal is involved, looking to the direction of the nystagmus. Video nystagmography is more helpful than electronystagmography. This is our video nystagmography settings. This is video head impulse test setting. In video head impulse test, we measure the gain of each individual, all 6 semicircular canals, and detect the saccades, overt saccades and covert saccade, to differentiate a decrease or increase in vestibular gain. This is analysis of video head impulse test. This is a case of left-sided Meniere's disease. So all 3 left-sided semicircular canal gain is decreased, and we can see the lateral canal is showing the covert saccades. This is an audiogram. On the left side is normal audiogram, and right side there is a low frequency hearing loss. In central lesion, we have to go for MRI brain, and cardiovascular system we have to do echocardiography and color Doppler test. Let's move on to certain syndromes, clinically significant syndromes. These are the frequency of the syndromes, BPPV being the most common, then Meniere's disease, vestibular migraine, vestibular neuronitis, vestibular paroxysmia, central vertigo, bilateral vestibulopathy, and functional problems. BPPV is most common cause of vertigo due to otoconia particle displaced from the utricle to one of the semicircular canal. There may be anterior canal, posterior canal, or horizontal canal. Posterior canal being most common, then horizontal anterior canal, and the most complicated thing is mixed canal syndrome, difficult to treat the syndrome. Diagnosis is made by a Dix-Hallpike test. When it is not clear in Dix-Hallpike test, we take him to video nystagmography. Video nystagmography can detect the subtle nystagmus and can diagnose which canal is involved. Here are some of the videos of nystagmus in various BPPV syndromes. This is a case of right-sided BPPV. We can see upbeating torsional right-sided nystagmus. The eyeball is rolling upward and towards right. We can call it anti-clockwise nystagmus. This is a left torsional nystagmus, case of left-sided posterior canal BPPV. Eyeball is rolling in clockwise manner, that is left side upbeating torsional nystagmus. We can appreciate right-sided beating horizontally. Treatment is Apley's or Simmons maneuver for posterior canal and 360-degree barbecue maneuver for the horizontal canal. We have attached the video for Apley's maneuver in detail by Dr. Kirtane sir. Meniere's disease is characterized by true vertigo, oral fullness, tinnitus, fluctuating hearing loss due to endolymphatic hydrops. Endolymphatic fluid is over collected in the endolymphatic space. Eventually the membrane breaks and presents as severe acute episode of vertigo, oral fullness, tinnitus. Here it is American Academy of Otolaryngology criteria for Meniere's disease. we won't go in the detail. Diagnose from pure tone audiogram, video head impulse test, video nystagmography, low frequency hearing loss, canal weakness in caloric test, and canal weakness in video head impulse test, characteristic for Meniere's disease. Salt restriction and beta histine are for palliative treatment. Intratympanic gentamicin or vestibular neurectomy are the curative treatments. As we all know, 50% of population are affected by migraine, and out of them 5% they have the vertigo associated with it and called as migraine related vertigo or vestibular migraine. Pathophysiology is one vascular and second neurological. It is diagnosed from rotational vertigo, pulsatile headache, nausea, vomiting, photophobia, phonophobia. As in migrainous headache, all clinical examination is normal. Video head impulse test, video nystagmography, pure tone audiogram, all tests are normal. So it is diagnosis of exclusion. Acute attack is treated with prochlorperazine or cinnarizine, and migraine prophylaxis medicine like beta blockers, SSRI, flunarizine, antiepileptics, they are all important as in migrainous headache. Vestibular neuritis present as sudden loss of vestibular function with severe vertigo, nausea, vomiting without any auditory symptom. Symptom may last for 2 to 7 days due to reactivation of herpes simplex virus latent in Karp's ganglion. Diagnosed clinically in VNG, there is caloric test, unilateral weakness, and loss of gain in video head impulse test with covert and overt saccades. Treatment of choice is a steroid. Antiviral drug may work in initial few days associated with vestibular suppression. They should not be given for more than 3 days, otherwise it hampers the central compensation. So now we can see the importance of clinical examination and the investigation. So we can reach the certain diagnosis and can have cure for that. Now coming to the less prevalent syndrome, they are vestibular paroxysmia. Due to cross compression of 8th nerve and branch of anterior cerebellar artery, there will be sudden transient spinning lasting for 1 to 5 seconds, may be associated with tinnitus hypoacusis triggered by change in head position. Dix-Hallpike test is negative. VNG, VHIT are usually normal. Diagnosed in MRI with angiography. Treatment is carbamazepine or dexcarbamazepine. So the take-home message is vertigo is a symptom and not a disease. As for every symptom, effort should be made to reach the final diagnosis. Vertigo can be treated rationally in every cases if diagnosis is reached and pathophysiology is understood. Vestibular suppression should not be used for more than 3 to 5 days as it interferes with the central compensation. Thank you.